Let's talk about people pressure now, specifically in regards to our school populations. In WA, our biggest public high school is Churchlands with about 2,700 students, while there are some Perth primary schools with just 9 students in a class of Year 2s. Claire Orange, our parenting expert, is with us now. Good afternoon, Claire.
Hey, Tracy.
You say there are many benefits to a large school.
There are, especially in the secondary school context. You know, when you think about those little Year 2s and Year 3s where they've got 9 social choices, it's not a lot to make friends with, especially if you don't like half of them. So it's quite nice for our kids going into secondary schooling where there's a big social choice. Generally, our big schools have lots of activities and they're very clever at making sure that year groups have their own coordinator and that those children almost feel like they're the only ones in the school because they have particular areas they hang out and activities just for them. So it can be very healthy for kids.
All right, but big schools can have a negative impact on some students too.
They sure can, absolutely. And I think, you know, those children who are going from primary school up to high school and they've come from a little primary school and they're immersed in a high school with great quantities of children, the noise, the activity, the range of ages in there as well, Tracy, can be quite overwhelming, especially in those intermediate high school years for our children. And in the primary school environment, of course, you know, you've got children and parents. You know, high school, you've just got the kids going in mostly, but you can have huge volumes in primary schools as well and problems with parking. There can be all sorts of issues.
Of course. All right. Is there a time, either primary or high school, where school size matters less?
Well, usually we find that in secondary schooling they're much more set up on their campuses to deal with those bigger numbers of children. We do have some super schools, primary schools in Perth, and they have a developing infrastructure around that and a system of management. But certainly in our high schools, there's because of the differentiation of the subjects and the subject areas, they are much more set up to cope with those bigger volumes. It has less of an impact.
And so how much emphasis should parents place on a school size when making a decision on where to send your kids?
A lot. A lot. You know, I think if you've got a child who's going through primary school and showing any signs of social anxiety, of really, you know, needing smaller and more intimate environments to do their learning in, we need to take that seriously as parents and then go and have a look in those high schools. And certainly we have lots of opportunities to get eyes on in. You can go to school fates, you can go to orientation days and see what that would feel like for your child. They're there for a long time, Tracy. You know, it's now 6 years of high schooling. You've got to make sure that's right for your child.
Yeah, big decision as well.
It is.
All right, Claire, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Tracy.